Welcome to Shorr Solutions, the podcast, and I'm your host, Jay Shorr, CEO and founder of Shorr Solutions. We are a team of national and award-winning practice management consultants with experience running a multi-million-dollar cosmetic dermatology and plastic surgery practice. We're here to share strategies and insights that will help you grow your practice efficiently and profitably. In each episode, we'll explore the steps and actionable insights to guide you through your journey to increase efficiency, boost revenue, and decrease costs. Tune in and discover how to improve your patient experience and take your aesthetic practice to the next level.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Shorr Solutions, the podcast. And I'm your host, Cristian Devoz. And today we're going to have a very special guest joining us, our CEO and founder, Jay Shorr. And today is going to be a very special discussion because we're going to be learning about the man behind the show. We're going to hear some stories, some life lessons, some of his struggles when he was younger, and some of the things that he wishes that he had known when he was younger. So this is going to be a great episode for entrepreneurs out there, for doctors and practice owners to learn from somebody who has done it, who has lived it, and who can now share how you can avoid some of those big mistakes and make sure that you are maximizing what you need to do to be successful. So Jay, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Welcome to another episode of Shorr Solutions, the podcast, and I'm your guest, Jay Shorr.
There you go. We're switching it up. All right, Jay. Well, welcome. Let's start with your professional journey. Let's talk about when you started. How did you get into medicine? How did you get into this industry? And just tell us about your experience. How did that begin?
Well, as a teenager, 18 years old, back in the city of brotherly love, for those of you who don't know, that's Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And so I was in suburban Philadelphia, and I always had an interest in some type of medicine. I just didn't know what it was. Medicine always fascinated me. And as a young man, I thought maybe it might be a very good opportunity if I volunteered at one of the local ambulance associations, fire rescue, with basic and advanced first aid. And I did that. And I worked under the auspices of, at the time, Chief Vito Fusco, who was the chief of police at Plymouth Ambulance, and he had taken me under his wing as a young man because I had decided that I didn't know whether or not I wanted to go into some type of law enforcement, and he allowed me the opportunity to work for the police department. And I rode with all of the officers for a better part of the year. I wrote in the collegiate newspaper on what was going on, and he basically said, "Why don't you run and ride on the ambulance with me, and you can be on my crew?" And he basically took me and his family, and I did it, and I went through basic and advanced first aid, and I went through CPR and everything like that, and then I went and got my paramedic's license. And it was a very interesting journey, and I really loved medicine, but I was in emergency trauma for all those years. And then my career in that ended when I left Philadelphia to pursue different type of my career and moved to South Florida.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. I hadn't heard so much detail about that story before, and the fact that at that young age you were able to be taken under the wing of such a professional who taught you the way, and you were able to get involved with medicine at that young age.
Hence, Christian, which is why mentorship is so important to me. I only had shared with you the professional working of mentorship, but not some of the personal things of mentorship. And this gentleman, who has long since passed away, but not in my mind, actually. None of my mentors have ever left my mind, and nor will they in yours. They make a very big impact on you. And as a very young man, not that I was easily influenced, but he made such a mark on giving back to society, which we'll get into later, without compensation, doing the right thing for the right reasons to help for the good of the society for not being paid.
That's such a wonderful thing. And I remember when you took me under your wing, you said to me, "Cristian, I'm going to mentor you, but I want you to promise me that you'll do the same one day for someone else." And I did promise that, because to me, that's something that I want to do as well.
You will share that line with another young man one day, and you're going to say, this old gray-haired bald gentleman once told me, and I need you to promise me the same thing.
And I'm already kind of mentoring people around me and sharing some of the things that you have taught me. And I think that's very important to have that in your life. But tell me a little bit more about maybe a turning point for you in your career, because you did the paramedic and then you moved to Florida. But was there a turning point for you where you decided, okay, maybe I'm going to go into aesthetic medicine now?
Totally off base, 100% off base. I had moved to Florida right after college. I had been working in a supermarket, and I worked as a nighttime manager, if you will, but not really a manager. It was the person who basically led all of the other clerks. All right. But then I decided that I might want to take this into my career, and I went into supermarket management after I graduated college because I got hurt and I was never able to pursue my real love and desire, and that was to possibly play professional baseball. That never happened. With that being said, I came to South Florida as the youngest management trainee, but I had had years of experience starting at 15 years old. When I graduated college, just turning 21, they put me through a rigorous training. And then with that, I was a general manager at a very young age on South Beach at 5th and Collins in South Miami Beach. It happened to have been the smallest store in the entire chain. And they gave it to me because I was a young man and culturally I fit what South Beach was. But I also was put into a position where I was like a safety kind of manager in that company. And since I had already been in emergency first aid, safety kind of fit the bill. All right. How can you help to prevent accidents in a supermarket? Now, although that sounds like, what are you talking about? It's big. It's really big. In other words, how do you not cut your fingers with a razor blade opening up a case? How do you not drop something on your head when you're lifting it from a pallet? How do you prevent people from dropping bottles of juice and applesauce on the floor and you don't mop it up right away and somebody slips, trips, and falls? People don't understand these things. And I always have had a head of protecting you from you in spite of you. Everybody has always heard me say that. But safety has always been front and foremost in my mind, and it is to this day.
Absolutely. And I know that even your first AOL email was actually safe. Please be safe.
Please be safe. PLSBSAFE. That was my email address on AOL. And I actually still have it to this day, by the way. But it's to house all the junk emails.
Right. And you're definitely, even to this day, the safety guy with our clients. You're always prioritizing the safety, first of all, of their patients, then, of course, the safety of the providers and making sure that we can maintain their licenses. And then, of course, after you are safe, it's going to be easy to work and make money and, and grow as a practice. But you need to have those foundations of having a safe environment for work. So with that being said, I guess I got ahead of myself before when I ask you about the turning point. But now that we understand your journey, how you actually got into, I guess, corporate America, because after that, I believe you went into a company that was like a trucking company. Can you share a little bit about that?
Ryder, the number one transportation and logistics company in the world. And I started out as a rental manager, and then I worked, with the different franchises, and then I became a safety manager by default because the safety manager had been terminated and they needed somebody, and I was always by policies, procedures, protocols, safe environment, and my district manager made me a safety manager. As times went on, I became the district safety manager, and then I became a region safety manager, and then I became a corporate safety manager. And then I became the lead manager for all of the national accounts and safety in the entire company, in North America. And it was a journey. So safety has always been something that I have prided myself on.
Absolutely. You kind of scaled the ladder all the way to the top in corporate America. I love that.
So now let me bring you a little forward. So at that time, towards the end of my safety career, I had met a woman who was a dermatologist, dermatopathologist, and Mohs surgeon. And she asked if I might be interested in being an administrator for her practice. I was already employed. However, getting back into medicine was something I really loved. So at that point, I then ended up taking an earlier retirement and going in to be the administrator of her practice. It was a dermatology, facial body plastics practice, more on the derm side than it was on the aesthetic side, but I turned that around because I wanted to get more into the fee for service cash business than I did the insurance business. And basically, I fell in love with the woman and we ended up getting married. All right. So, and then that was a nice career. And then, unfortunately, as the story goes, in 2011, she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She passed 8 months later in June of 2012. Towards the end, I was figuring out a retirement strategy. And I said, why don't we open up a consulting business? And my wife at that point would work with the doctors and I would work with the staff in order to be able to make a more successful medical practice. But that journey never existed because she passed away before it happened, although I had started the program. And then when she passed, I no longer had a desire to own the medical practice. I had sold it to a plastic surgery practice here in South Florida and took a year off because I was emotionally drained after her passing. I took a year off. I fished and golfed 5 days a week. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, for those listening, I got tired of it. And I had to come back to work. I'm not tired of it now. All right.
But just to think that you could get tired of those things, that's just
I was
crazy.
tired of it then. And my daughter said to me, if you're ready, I will help you build it. And I said, I'm ready. And with the help of my daughter, she helped to spiral the business to what it is today. And about 2 years ago, she decided that she had other interests and she still wanted to pursue her career in this business in another direction, and she left. And, in that interim, we changed the methodology of our business, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Right. She was definitely crucial in the process of building.
I could never have done it without her. Let me put it this way, not to the magnitude to where it is today.
100%. And life is about change. Just look at what happened in your story and how, things happened that you were not expecting. You had plans, but life had other purposes for you. And here we are.
Here we are.
It's quite interesting how things turn out. But, there has to be something that pushes you forward, Jay. And I want to hear more about that part of you. Like, what's that why that drives you? What was your philosophy for doing what you do as a consultant?
My main goal is to help others to become successful. There is an old adage that it is better to give and receive. And it's very difficult for people to understand that while you're growing up because you always want to get. And you may not have the wherewithal or the resources to give. All right. So you put your hand out always with, to get. But as you age and as you mature, that you do realize that it is much better to give than to receive. And to this day, I don't want to receive. When you have to receive, it means when you're the recipient of something that you are in desperate need. And I don't want that. What I do receive is the God-given fulfillment of what I've done. And it makes me feel good. All right. So working with other doctors, working with other med spas and PAs and nurse practitioners, it is a very big turn on to watch them become successful with us at the helm because we're going to protect them from them in spite of them. You'll hear me say that all the time. And we have every resource available because I've already made the mistakes that I want to prevent people from making. All right. Not like a parent when you tell your child, don't put your finger on the stove because it's hot, it's red, the red light's on, and they put it on and you look, well, what did I tell you? I want to prevent our client from putting their finger on the stove.
Right. That's a great segue into my next question because many doctors out there, the reason why they hire us is because, unfortunately, many doctors are not taught how to be business people. They know medicine and they're great at what they do. But when it comes to business, can you share, Jay, what makes a really good businessman?
Understanding business from inside out. You have to understand what your most important resources are. And the number one resource is the human resource. You can buy toys, you can buy machines, you can buy fillers, you can buy whatever it is. And if they work, fine. But if you don't have people to make everything happen, you're never going to be successful. And unfortunately, many people don't want to make the investment in good people. They don't want to make the investment in training because there comes to be an expense and a cost with that. But I've never looked at it as a cost. It's always been an investment because it will yield you dividends for years and years to come as long as you invest in your people and have them follow your strategies. Let's take a quick break. I want to tell you about our Conversion Cascade 2.0 online course. In just a few hours, you and your team will learn how to attract more patients, convert more consults, and turn new leads into loyal patients, all at your own pace. Along with lifetime access, you'll receive downloadable tools such as phone scripts, marketing checklists, and conversion tracking tools to help improve your sales and customer service skills. And as a special thank you for being a podcast listener, use code PODCAST to get 20% off. Click the link in the show notes to sign up today.
I love that. You always say that it's about the noun, right? People, places, and things. And for a business, you got to have the right people. You got to hire the people who are going to drive you forward for sure. And you got to have a place where your practice is going to be. And then you got to have things. You got to have equipment. You got to have services that you're going to provide for your patients. And then ideas. What are your values? And what do you stand for? And going back to what Jay has basically shared, you got to have something that is bigger than yourself. In his case, he loves to give back. He loves to be able to mentor people and to help young people to be professionals and to be the best version of themselves. So with that being said, where do most providers go wrong, Jay, when it comes to being a business owner?
When you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. And sometimes people continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, and they never move forward. And there's the old adage about if you do the same thing over and over again and you expect a different result, that's insanity. As I said, when you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. And the fear of trying something new. Where most people go wrong is they want to try and do it themselves, go it alone because they don't want to make the investment with professionals, accountant, attorney, consultants, executive management team. Rather than the term consultant, I always tell our clients, we are your executive management team, not a consultant. Consultant in our industry has a very bad name. What it means is I'm going to come in, I'm going to reduce people, I'm going to cut expenses, and it just isn't going to work. All right. You have to invest in your people and not be afraid to put your hand in your pocket to make things happen. Use people that have been there, done that, and have the whales on their back to prove it. I'll never ask a client to do something that I've done and didn't work because that would be insanity.
Right. And that's why when we work with our clients, we always look at results, right? We want to see, you do a marketing campaign, let's see what the results are. And if we didn't do so well, why didn't we do so well? Can we make, a new campaign and then compare some of those changes?
Sometimes just a minor tweak, Christian,
right,
can change the whole result. Maybe you have the wrong person. Maybe you have the wrong machine.
Mhm.
Maybe you have the wrong place that you're doing it at. Once again, people, places, and things. All right. So, where a lot of people go wrong is they don't create a plan. So, the failure to plan is a plan to fail. I didn't make that up. I never stole an idea I didn't like, right? So I've heard this over and over and over again. But don't be afraid to make a plan. And the whole idea when we do business plans, we tell our client, this is your preliminary plan. We will change it, we will change it again, and we will change it again in 3 months, 6 months, a year. This is pro forma. You haven't started yet. We don't know the realistic outcomes. But once we're in the trench, we're going to revise it because the plan isn't just to get money from the bank. That's the main reason in the very beginning. But the main reason for it is so that you have a plan to follow going over and over again this year, next year, the year after. So we can always change it if it's not working right. The low hanging fruit.
Absolutely. You got to understand where you have been to understand where you're going, as you always say. So, Jay, let's talk a little bit more about your personality and your lifestyle. Let's talk about that because I know that people know that you love to golf. That's one of your hobbies. But tell us a little bit more about what else do you spend your time when it comes to your personal life and what do you love to do?
Well, I happen to be very fortunate because after the passing of my wife, a couple of years later, I was blessed and I happened to meet my wife now, who has identical interests as I do, and she is one of my business partners today. I am a big golfer and I love challenge, and golfing definitely is a challenge. All right. I used to be a left-handed golfer because I am dominantly left-handed. And with an injury to my shoulder, my option was to have surgery or stop playing golf. And I laughed at the orthopedist and I said, neither one of those is going to happen. I had surgeries on both of my knees multiple times and my elbows and my hands, and I didn't want to go through another procedures. So I switched from left-handed to right-handed. You want to talk about challenge? That is a challenge. All right.
That's right.
And I did it. And, I'm not a great golfer. I'm shooting in the mid 90s, low to mid 90s now. All right. However, it is always a challenge, but I love the game. And my wife and I, we love to cruise. And I also like philanthropy.
Mhm.
So currently, I am on the board of directors of Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital and the Memorial Health System Foundation. And this is all about raising money for the children. All right. So that we can do more research, that we can have housing for parents that when their children are in the hospital, we can help with paying their bills if they're indigent. A parent shouldn't have to struggle because they have a sick child. So, our life is plenty full. All right. And then I spend time with our parrots and our dog, our puppy. All right. Our golden doodle and 4 parrots. I mean, my life is pretty full.
Right. You're always doing something. And you recently actually went on a cruise, right? You went to Alaska.
Well, I like to do things, my wife and I, that we haven't done before. And Alaska was on the bucket list. And everybody we had spoken to, that was our 68th cruise. And we have a couple
Wow.
of more. We're going on one, on Friday, and we're going on 2 more before the end of the year. But that is my passion. All right. To cruise. I think it's a great vacation. It's not for everybody, but I had seen things I had never seen before. We went into the glaciers and we actually saw a glacier break
Wow.
and hit the water. And of course, I sent that picture to the whole team. It was the most amazing experience I had ever seen. And then I'm watching whales like 10 feet from my boat come up and flash their tail and go down. And it's like, that was something we crossed off the bucket list. And
Wow.
I had actually eaten the largest king crab's claws I had ever seen in my entire life. Right?
Wow.
It was just an amazing experience.
That sounds amazing. Yes.
These are once in a lifetime things. And I urge everybody, cross off your bucket list once in a lifetime opportunities. I don't do anything extreme. I don't jump out of airplanes. I don't jump off of mountains with bungee cords. I don't do anything that could possibly hurt me. I don't do bumper cars anymore, even though they're on the ground, because you can get hurt. There's just certain things. My fear of getting hurt, the recovery isn't quick anymore.
Jay, as you were talking, you made me remember when I was a teenager, I read this book about how to be a rhino. And it talked about how, rhinos, when they are moving forward, they're stampeding, they're not going to stop. You're not going to go backwards. And the book explains how we need to be like rhinos. We have to be able to work hard, but then rhinos also like to play. So they work hard, they play hard. And I kind of see that in you, like you have that rhino attitude of when you're working, but then you also know how to take some time off. And I guess with that being said, looking ahead, a lot of doctors wrestle with the idea of retirement. And what are your thoughts about that right now? Because, you're 70 right now, so it's you're not getting any younger. How do you know when is the right time to step back?
Actually, I'm 71.
Wow, there you go. I stand corrected.
And my wife is 72. And you asked a question, how will you know when it's time? Some people never know. My answer is, you'll know. All right, you'll just know. I listened to a psychiatrist actually on YouTube this weekend, and he was doing something about dementia and retirement. And he spoke about interviewing people that were in their 50s that retire, in their 60s that retire, because it seems pretty cool to retire at a younger age. All right. But what he's found that those people that retired younger all came back to him and said that there was a void in their life. Now, if you're financially able to do that and you've got a whole lot of other hobbies and interests, I'm not saying don't do it, but he said for the most part, that just cold turkey retirement is not healthy. All right. And that's where I'm at right now. At 71 years old, I do want to cruise more. I do want to golf 3 days a week or 4 days a week. I want to get back to that 5-day fishing and golfing that I used to do, right?
What if you get bored of it, Jay, and then you come back?
No, don't worry about that at this point, Cristian. I won't get bored. I'll call you and give you my scores, okay? But
all right.
Truly, you'll know. And I have gotten to a point where I want to start cutting back. I don't want to fully retire because, as the psychiatrist said, there's things that you're going to miss. The mind constantly going, the mind thinking that you are actually making a difference. Your mind doing creativity of certain things, working with you and the team on business plans and analyzing P&Ls and analyzing marketing results and coming up with policies, procedures, and protocols for the practices because of our experiences. That I would really miss. However, what I won't miss are deadlines. What I won't miss are having to be on a call at a certain time on a schedule. All right. Because at 71 years old, I started working at 14, 15 years old. All right. And that's 55, 56 years already. I want to do what I want to do. And people of my age and maturity want to do what they want to do on their time frame. Instead of seeing 50 patients a day, 30 patients a day, every day, they may want to see a couple of patients, hire associates, and maybe teach. All right. I forgot to mention that I'm also on faculty at a major university here in South Florida, Florida Atlantic University. I teach in the College of Executive Education, teaching medical business management. And that is done so that I can help to educate younger people or people that are in med school or people that are already doctors or people that want to get into medicine. It's something that I feel I love to share my knowledge. And that's why I have loved teaching at a university, because those people want to be there.
Right. And with that being said, the people that you're referring to, it's usually the younger generation with, Gen Zs and all these new ways of living, really, because a lot of people are now getting into AI and getting into so many commodities of life, I like to call them. And what do you think is the future when it comes to the aesthetic business for aesthetic practices? Because with everything that's going on and all the changes that the world is having, where do you see this going?
Well, I used to despise AI. I just felt that it took away a lot of the education that I was taught of people of my background and vintage. You had to go to a library. Many of the people that might listen to this don't even know what a Dewey Decimal System is. All right. We had to go to the library and with the Dewey Decimal System and look up a book and then go to the shelf and look it up and then read the book or make a photocopy with wet toner and come home. And this is all before computers. There was no such thing as copy paste. All right. Then copy paste became great because you could go on the internet and you could learn a whole lot of things. And then AI came about. I never really embraced it, but I have seen the benefit of AI, all right, as long as it's used properly. Our company uses AI a lot to assist in writing proper protocols and things. However, it's not copy paste. It's a barrage of multiple ideas. Not all of them are correct. And you have to go over that and then pick and choose what is correct and rewrite it yourself. There is AI in medicine now. We call it like robotics. There's robotic surgery. There's robotic hair transplantation. That is artificial intelligence. I'm not so sure I would trust AI in going to my provider and saying, hey, you know what? I need my Botox or Dysport or Jeuveau or Xeomin. And then, have a robot or saying smile and I smile and all of a sudden a robot with a needle comes towards my face to inject where I need it. I still like the human interaction about that. All right. However, I don't think it's too far-fetched to the future.
Now, just to kind of wrap up the discussion, because I know that we're getting to the end of this episode, but I kind of wanted to hear, what do you think will be your legacy? How do you want to be remembered? Because, we have been talking about your life and all the things that you have done and basically the person that you have become through the years. What's going to be that legacy that you want to leave?
What's very interesting, Cristian, is you may not understand this now, but who you are today isn't going to be who you are tomorrow.
Right.
If you look at Jay 50 years ago with the long hair and the ponytail, all right, and you've seen those pictures, all right?
Yes.
And you look at who Jay is today, no hair and no ponytail. You're going to realize even my values aren't the same. My values have become very strong personally, morally, religiously, because I see the reward that it brings to everybody else. You no longer want to become selfish because it's always now become for the good of the society. And our mission statement. Our mission statement has always been, we don't do anything illegal, unethical, or immoral. And that is one of the legacies that I want to be known for. You may not have liked some of the things I say. You may not have liked some of the things that I do. But you are always going to respect what I stand for and what I have stood for. I stand for legality, I stand for ethics, and I stand for morality. And those people who want to be in your corner and want to do business with you, want to do business with people with that. All right? Because it means that you're looking out for others. One of the biggest highlights of my life, and I have won as a company, we have won multiple awards. In my past career, I've won multiple awards. And those being the Practice Management Company of the Year in 4 out of 6 years. You know what that is, Cristian? That's what have you done for me lately? So I won the award last year. All right. Now I have to work harder and harder to win it again this year. And I've won those awards. But the award that means the most to me is the Lifetime Achievement Award that was granted to me by Informa Markets, the Aesthetic Guide, the Aesthetic Show. And not to call them out personally, but I was granted a Lifetime Achievement Award. And that award is for what I have done in my lifetime. And that is education, philanthropy, doing things to make our society, to make our industry a better industry for those who are currently in it and those in the future. And that's what's important to me because that will be my legacy. All right. The other thing, my legacy as I'm nearing towards the end of my career, is that my wife and I, my business partner, had elected to offer shares of our company to those in our company, you being one of them, Anna Suarez, our director of client development. We have offered both you and Anna partnership shares as sweat equity, and then that will increase over years. And then those who want to continue the journey with us, Paige and Nan, whoever may follow, will get shares of the company, all right, for your hard efforts and your hard work. Now, some people say to me, why are you doing that? You're crazy. You could sell the business and you could keep that money, but that might be money I'll never spend. All right. Or it might be money that I have to give back to the government in taxes. Yet offering it to people to give you and Anna and the rest of the team an opportunity of a lifetime and keep Shorr Solutions, which happens to be a very catchy name, all right, even though it's my last name, to keep that alive into the future, to know that when I look back, along with my team, this is what I've done, and watch you and Anna and Nan and Paige flourish at my benefit. And that to me will be enough of a reward versus selling my business. Or even if you want to sell your business in the end, if you offer shares of your business to those who have been dedicated to you, those who have stood by you, those who will always stand by you, they will carry your legacy because you were their mentor. And we're going to bring this full circle to where my mentors were. And my mentors told me one thing that I will never forget and held true. As a young man, they said to me, Jay, you're going to get there and you're going to make it and you're going to be very successful. I see your tenacity. It might not be in your time frame, but you're going to get there. Don't give up.
Wow.
That has carried with me probably 30, 40 years, Cristian. And I believed in it because I never gave up. And I saw that the reward was at the end. The light is at the end of the tunnel. And it became true. Not in my time frame, but it became true. And I see that in you and I see that in Anna. And I get turned on by saying, you know what? This gentleman who told me this in my life, I'm now sharing this with you for you to help your legacy in the end through the fruit of my legacy.
Yes. It's I don't want to get emotional here, Jay, but that's very beautiful. And just know that, it's an honor, to be honest, to carry that legacy. And I know that Anna and the rest of the team feel the same way. We all are a big family. That's why we call ourselves La Familia, right? And I think that what we have here is very special. And I hope that practices out there just know that what you do matters. And what Jay's saying is true. You're going to get there too. You're going to be that successful surgeon that you want to be. You're going to be that successful med spa owner that you're going to be. And you're going to be able to make it. You just have to be tenacious, as Jay is saying. You got to work hard and got to do things right, and it will come.
Yeah, Cristian, let me make one more comment. In all of the clients that we deal with, there is one common problem, right? Human resource. It's always a problem. And we have doctors coming to us saying, I can't get good staff. Let's start off from the Northeast. I can't get good staff in Boston. And then we'll go into New York and Philadelphia and Georgia and Florida, and we'll move across the Mississippi, all right? And I can't get good help in Georgia, and then Chicago, and then Michigan, and then Texas, and then Arizona, and Utah, and California, and Seattle. We can go. You want me to name all 50 states? I can do it, all right? But my point is, maybe the problem is you, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have that here. because each one of our staff members will go above and beyond to help the other staff member who may be lagging or may need help. Instead of saying it's not my job, it is everybody's job, even mine as a team leader. I make a comment when I say team leader. I did a podcast, and the reason I want to bring this up is I really enjoyed what he said. I did a podcast with Dr. Randy Waldman, all right, who leads global aesthetics. And you know what he said to me? He says, I'm just a choreographer. And that resonated with me. And I'm thinking, and you do a great job at it, Dr. Waldman. You're just the choreographer. Yeah, well, I'm just the choreographer here, Cristian, to keep the glue gelled, all right? And all I want people out there to remember is that we're in this together.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much, Jay, for all your stories, all those nuggets of wisdom. And I hope that our audience can take some of these quotes and phrases that you shared and take them to heart, and just know that they can also be successful. They can also achieve their dreams and do what they want to do, which is do medicine and be successful. And with that being said, Jay, I know that you mentioned a little bit about the partnerships that we're doing internally as a team. And moving forward, just for our audience to know, we will be having the team joining us on each subsequent episode. And we're going to be sharing each of our stories so you can get to know each of our team members, sharing stories and sharing things that will be helpful for you in your practice so you can be the best version of yourselves. So with that being said, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And we hope you have a great day, and good luck, and God bless.
Don't go anywhere just yet. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the latest insights. New episodes are released every 2 weeks. For more valuable information and resources to elevate your practice, sign up for our e-newsletter. You'll get the latest industry updates, expert tips, and exclusive strategies straight to your inbox. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media at Shorr Solutions. If you're ready to take your practice to the next level, schedule a free consult with our team today. Thank you for joining us on Shorr Solutions, the podcast.